Okay, so it's the beginning of July 2017, and I want to show again my ginger. This is in Europe, but what I do will just work anywhere in the world. And so the reason I do this, because I know a lot of people don't take the time to do this kind of stuff, and they just basically, they throw the dry ginger. I don't have any dry. They just throw big lumps of dried ginger into the soil and let it fend for itself. One of the reasons that I do this kind of experiment is because it's a lot of fun. To get these kind of roots, you don't use tons of water. You have to be intelligent about it, and you use a minimum amount of water, and just you can have them in a container or inside a plastic bag. And if you leave them in a warm environment for a few weeks, leaving them in a warm environment for a few weeks will encourage the root growth, as you can see. Wait a minute. Put this back here. And the reason that I'm doing this funny thing with the soil is you could actually do it like this actually on the soil, because the soil, wait a minute, where's the soil will hold the humidity, and you just put the lid on top of a plastic container. And what this means is that you don't need to use a lot of water on the inside the container, but the roots system will develop and grow from the humidity. And I don't do this for production. I mean, obviously in indoor container, ginger and turmeric's not for production, but because it's a lot of fun. And it really is a lot of fun. And when you do this approach, let me get one of these guys out. When you do this approach, you learn a lot of things. You get to see the plant and the root system that you're just not going to see if you just stick some dried ginger. You just stick some dried ginger in a container or directly in the ground. You're not going to have this experience. But also the other reason I do this is because, in my opinion or in my experience, it has a much higher success rate. Because if you take just some giant lump of dried ginger, which often, even if it's organic, right, it's often covered with some chemical to inhibit the growth of the roots, which is what you want to do, right? You want the roots to grow. And then if you have kind of black stuff, you just kind of gently scrape it off. And usually this black stuff is on there, and this is organic, by the way, or sold as organic. And this black stuff is the residue of whatever it is on the dried ginger to suppress the roots. The ginger corms from growing and rooting. And also you get to observe and be aware of the dynamic process of growth that these plants or these roots create. And then when you plant them, eventually these are going to be planted. Oh, I've got thunderstorm, that's good. In my opinion, in my experience, when you do this, either indoor container or just outdoor container gardening, or even if you just plant them in the garden as they are, this I find to be the most successful.